Good evening. I would like to call the Special Public Work and Utility Committee to order on May 4th, 2020. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Newell.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Gata.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. So under new business, we have one item. It is request authorization to award construction contract to Roush Infrastructure LLC out of Des Plaines, Illinois, which is the low bid for Gulf Road sanitary sewer lift station replacement in an amount not to exceed $1,945,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, Mr. Norris.
It's me, Trustee Newell. Joe Nebel.
Oh,
I'd like
I'm
to
sorry.
No,
Yeah.
you're fine. Just a comment on this project. This is similar to the lift station that we came to the Public Works Committee last week. We did have our bid opening prior to the last meeting that we had, but we wanted to give our consulting engineer some time to review the bids. This bid also came back high. It's about 17% high over what the engineer's estimate is. The engineer is concluding that it's most likely because of COVID and some concerns with the contractors, A, with supply chain, and B, we only did receive 3 bids for this project. Unfortunately, due to the condition of Gulf Lift and its importance, we do have 5 lift stations that flow into Gulf Lift Station, so it is a critical lift station for us. We don't feel comfortable waiting another round to try to rebid this once COVID is done. We don't know when COVID will end. We don't know if it'll be in a few months, if it'll be in a couple of years, and if things will get any better as far as the construction costs go. So we are recommending, Baxter Woodman did review the bids and did vet the contractor. We are recommending that Roush Infrastructure be awarded the contract.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
It is Palafis.
Okay, go ahead, Trustee Stanton. I think that's who it is, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thanks. The one question I have is that we have a bid of $1,885,350, and I know we're going with $1,945,000 just for overcosts and whatnot, but we're actually undercutting what Baxter and Woodman wanted as overcosts. Is there a reason for that?
Oh, well, we did not include, I think if you're looking at their recommendation letter, there's $105,000 at the bottom of that. We have that in a separate agreement that was already approved with the board for engineering costs. So
All right, so that's already been taken care of.
Yeah, we just looked at the construction costs, and then we added the Illinois EPA, who we're getting the loan from for this project, recommends a 3% contingency, which seems low to me, but we're going to go with the 3%, and
Sure.
I round it up to $45,000.
Now, this still has to go through,
Approval but from the EPA. Once the village board approves, if the village board approves, we would submit this to the IEPA. They've already done the loan, reviewed the loan. We've got tentative approval of the loan. They just need to approve the contractor to make sure that the contractor is okay for them.
and how long do we think that'll take?
I don't know what their level of activity is in the EPA as far as the state agencies go, and what I guess I would consider, construction and review of construction projects to be an essential service. So I would imagine that they are probably working, if not from home, they might be having some staff go into the office. So as soon as we, whether we get approval on this item or not, we'll have our consulting engineer try to make contact and try to get a ETA, I guess, on the contractor. Since it's just a contractor, I don't think that review would take very long.
Okay, good, thanks.
All right, was there another question? I thought I heard someone.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, Gary.
Trustee Gata,
I had a
Okay,
who,
go ahead, trustee Gata.
okay. After all of the approvals and so forth, as far as equipment and all of the parts and so forth, we have that available? That as soon as we get permission on that, we can turn around and start immediately?
Well, if the board approves the award of contract and then the IEPA approves the loan to go to, that the contractor is okay for approval for the loan, then we would enter into a contract with the contractor directly, and then they would order the parts. So we're probably at least 2 to 3 weeks away from all of that happening at a minimum. What the lead time is on all the parts, I'm not 100% sure. We're building a new lift station, so brand new pipes, brand new motor, or brand new submersible pumps. We're going to have a generator on site. There's going to be a whole lot of things that have to get ordered. Our hope is that the lead time on those items won't be long, although this is going to be a long project. We're looking at 6 to 8 months on the short end of this project. It may stretch out to about a year.
You answered that question also for it. But parts are available though, even though there's a shortage on so many other things?
I can't say for sure. I didn't call on,
Okay.
I didn't call vendors as far as pumps and that type of thing to see what the availability is. But that once the contractor is approved, it's technically on the contractor to find the parts and obtain everything. And that's kind of why we're seeing, this project was 17% higher than the engineer's estimate. The Chippendale lift station was 18% higher than the engineer's estimate. We're thinking that the contractors are kind of padding it a little bit just in case they can't find parts, or they're willing to pay a little bit more for the parts.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, this is Gary Palafis. I had a question.
Go ahead, trustee Palafis.
Hey, Joe, this has been a couple of projects in a row where the engineer's estimate, which I'm sure was pre-COVID, was lower than the budgeted or, the actual amount. Do you see that as a trend and something that we should all watch as we kind of motor through this time?
Well, we've had 2 in a row, so right now it's a trend. We may see, depending on what happens with the market and depending on what happens with construction activities, if we do see a slowing for some reason, there may eventually at some point down the road be a contraction of prices. I can only speculate what might happen, although supply chains might be kind of messed up for a while, especially if stuff's coming from overseas. So it's hard for me to say what direction it's going to go. I just know that we aren't comfortable waiting to see what might happen if, post-COVID, because we have no idea how long that's going to be.
Yeah, no, I wasn't questioning the timeline or the new amount. I was just curious if you, albeit after 2, saw a trend or kind of felt it amongst your peers as you talked to others in the industry.
Trustee Palafis, this is Jim Norris. Also remember that the road project came in under. So it may be more on what is the type of project and how many moving parts there are in the project. And I didn't mean that as a pun, but you can take it that way if you'd like. This one has a lot of different mechanical parts that are associated with it versus a road project where you're basically buying asphalt and most of the contractors already have the equipment to put it down. So I think it depends on the complexity of the type of project and what we're going to see and who they have to rely on to get those pieces. So we'll monitor it and we'll take it into consideration, especially for the 21 budget.
Okay, thanks. That's all for me, Anna. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I don't hear anything, so we have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Newell,
Aye.
Vice Chairperson Gata,
Aye.
Trustee Palafis,
Aye.
Trustee Mills,
Aye.
Trustee Stanton,
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye.
Okay, hearing no nays, motion passed. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Newell.
Aye.
Vice Chairperson Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call the first meeting of the month of May to order. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Present.
Trustee Stanton?
Present.
Trustee Gata?
Present.
Trustee Arnett?
Present.
Trustee Mills?
Present.
Trustee Newell?
Present.
Mayor McLeod?
Present. Can everybody please rise for the pledge? Trustee Palafis, you want to lead us?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Palafis. This meeting is being conducted telephonically and is being shown live on our cable channel and will be broadcast throughout the week for people to view it if they wish. At this time, we'll move into the recognition of the audience. It's the time if someone has a question for an item that's not on the agenda. We don't have any audience here unless somebody wants to call in, and that number is 847-781-2621, 847-781-2621. Okay, so no recognition of the audience. Move on to the approval of the minutes of the April 20th meeting. Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We do have a motion, a second. Any questions on the minutes of April 20th? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Chair would accept a motion to approve the minutes of the April 27th, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on any of these, minutes? Seeing none, can you poll the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Minutes are approved. Move on to 5, consent agenda. Chair would accept a motion.
So moved for the omnibus vote from A alpha through E echo.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. The items on this consent agenda are A, approval of the agenda, B, approval of the schedule of bills from May 4th, 2020, in the amount of $1,882,076.33. C, request board authorization to award contract for the 2020 contracted weed control and fertilization for various village-owned sites and rights-of-way to True Green, Carpentersville, Illinois, low bid, in amount not to exceed $14,200. D, request board authorization to award construction contract for rehabilitation of the Chippendale Sanitary Sewer Lift Station to Mark Krismeri Construction, Elgin, Illinois, low bid, in an amount not to exceed $700,000. And E, request board approval of an amendment to a license with ATC Indoor DAS LLC for a neutral host cellular antenna system at the Sears Center Arena. Does anybody want any of these items pulled? Seeing none, we do have a motion, a second. Can you poll the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Move on to President's Report. Who has the first proclamation?
I do. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. Whereas all American experiences times of difficulty and stress in their lives. Whereas prevention and education are effective ways to help reduce mental health conditions. And whereas mental health conditions are real, prevalent in our nation, and 80 to 90% of mental disorders are treatable using medication and other therapies. And fewer than half of the adults get help, and only 1/3 of the children get help. Whereas the overall quality of life improves tremendously when mental disorder is diagnosed early and treated appropriately. Whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, citizen shares the responsibility of mental health concerns and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support efforts. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of the Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim May 2020 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all Hoffman Estates citizens, government agencies, business leaders, hospitals, schools, public and private institutions in the village to recommit our community to increase awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We do have a motion, a second. I think our mental health folks are going to be very, very busy when this thing breaks to some extent.
For sure.
There's a lot of people who are going to have some pent-up demand for services. There is a motion, a second. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Who's got the next one?
Anna?
I do.
Okay.
This is Trustee Newell. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas registered nurses in the United States constitute our nation's largest healthcare profession, and whereas part of the Year of the Nurse and Midwife celebration, the American Nurses Association will expand National Nurses Week, traditionally celebrated from May 6th to May 12th each year, to a month-long celebration in May to expand opportunities to elevate and celebrate nursing. And whereas a renewed emphasis on primary and preventative health care will require better utilization of all of our nation's registered nursing resources. And whereas professional nursing has been demonstrated to be an indispensable component of the safety and quality of care of hospitalized patients. And whereas the demand for registered nursing services is greater than ever because of the aging of the American population, the continuing expansion of life-sustaining technologies, and the explosive growth of home health care services. And whereas more qualified registered nurses will be needed in the future to meet the increasingly complex needs of healthcare consumers in this community. And whereas the cost-effective, safe, and high-quality healthcare services provided by registered nurses will be an increasingly important component of the United States healthcare delivery system in the future. And be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by the virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim May 2020 as National Nurses Month in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all Hoffman Estates citizens, government agencies, business leaders, hospitals, schools, and public and private institutions in the village to honor the registered nurses who care for all of us and to celebrate registered nurses' accomplishments and efforts to improve our healthcare system and show our appreciation for the nation's registered nurses throughout the year.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We do have a motion, a second. I think particularly in these times, everybody is aware of the importance of registered nurses and all the healthcare professionals for sure. We do have a motion, a second. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Who's next?
Thank you. Trustee Arnett is next. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and city levels. These unsung heroes do the work that keeps our nation working, and whereas public employees take not only jobs but oaths, and whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, border patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others risk their lives each day in service to the people of the United States and around the world. And whereas public servants include teachers, doctors, and scientists, train conductors and astronauts, nurses and safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians, and social workers, and countless other occupations. Day in and day out, they provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these public servants at entry level or every level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and laws of this village of Hoffman Estates, do by here proclaim May 3rd through May 9th, 2020 as Public Service Recognition Week in the village of Hoffman Estates and urge all residents and businesses to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, county, and city.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So motion, a second. We do appreciate all the dedicated hard work of the government employees, particularly ours, who always do a great job, and we thank them for that. We have a motion, a second. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Who's got the next one?
I am privileged to have the next one. This is Trustee
All
Mills.
right, Trustee Mills, what do you got for us?
Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meeting of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk on this 51st anniversary of the Municipal Clerks Week. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and laws of this village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaims May 3rd through May 9th, 2020 as Municipal Clerks Week in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urges all residents and businesses to further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Bev Romanoff, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they provide and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
We have a second.
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 We have a motion, a second. We do appreciate all the hard work of the municipal clerks, particularly our municipal clerk, who I think is the best municipal clerk in the world. We appreciate all the work you do, Clerk Romanoff.
You're welcome.
There is a motion, a second. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
What happens when we
Trustee
say nay?
Right.
Aye.
How good I am at sword throwing.
It's an aye, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. Who's got the next one?
I have the next and last, I think. Whereas the International Economic Development Council is the largest professional economic development organization dedicated to serving economic developers. And whereas the International Economic Development Council provides leadership and excellence in economic development for communities, members, and partners through conferences, training courses, advisory services, and research, in-depth publications, public policy advocacy, and initiatives such as the Accredited Economic Development Organization Program and the Certified Economic Developer Designation. And whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by creating, retaining, and expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, which is the hallmark of the American economy. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of sellings, including rural and urban, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public-private partnerships, chambers of commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. And whereas economic developers attract and retain high-quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life in their regions. And whereas economic developers work in the Village of Hoffman Estates, within the state of Illinois, be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by the virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the state of Illinois and laws of the Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaims May 4th through May 9th, 2020, as National Economic Development Week in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and hereby reminds individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding career opportunities and improving quality of life.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We do have a motion, a second. We do appreciate, we're going to need plenty of economic development when this is over, that's for sure. Appreciate the work of the professionals. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. Like to wish Trustee Arnett a happy birthday in advance. Her birthday is Wednesday, so happy birthday, Trustee Arnett. Also want to remind
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Hope you have a good virtual party. Want to remind the folks who haven't filled out the census form that they still can. We need everybody to fill out these forms. Everybody's got to be accounted. And I want to thank all the residents who have helped each other out and helped various organizations out. The list is quite numerous, and we appreciate everything they do. Well, past week was the same as practically every other week with the phone calls with the White House, the governor, the Metro Mayor's Caucus, Tony Preckwinkle, the county board president, and our internal meetings also. So everybody's still working away, hoping that this thing will improve and be over with as quickly as it possibly can. Okay, move into trustee comments, starting with Trustee Gata.
Okay, with the phone commercial, not commercials, what do they call them, Plantenic or something like
yeah.
that, whatever. Anyways, with the governor and with the mayor's national one that was listening to. And then, of course, I did have one meeting with the telephonic, and that was with the Fire and Police Commission. That was on Tuesday, April 21st, and where they were interviewing 5 cadets, or 5 candidates for the fire department, which was very interesting, and especially since you couldn't see them, but just listening to them, right? But it was interesting for all 5 of them. Also, one other thing, I had one of the residents call me the other day with a suggestion, and that I was going to bounce off of Mr. Norris, that with the restaurants and the capacity, it's like 50% less, right? Because they have to adhere to the 6-foot rule and so forth. This resident was saying, why could we, or couldn't we, extend to the restaurants that they could come out to maybe the parking lot adjacent to them, of course, and to set up tables there. So then this way, the wait staff, as you know, gets mainly their salary is so low, but they rely on their tips for that. And when I was listening to the national one, there was this gal from the mayor from Tampa, Florida, and she was saying the exact same thing, that they were doing this, and it is helping the restaurateurs as far as, so I don't know the ramifications or as far as the legal standpoint, all right, if we can do anything like that, but.
Sure, so the idea you heard is one that's been floating through different groups nationally, beyond the Conference of Mayors and others, the American Planning Association. Somebody mentioned it there. I do know that there's some communities around us that are actually, the village managers and they are all sharing information. And I know that a couple communities that have downtowns are looking at potentially closing streets in between restaurants and allowing them to go onto the sidewalks and maybe even into the streets. They're looking into it. We will certainly look into the concept and the idea. We can do that. We may be limited though, because if you think of it, we don't have, like Tampa you mentioned, Ybor City, they have the whole area down there where they can turn it, streets into a certain direction or limit it one way into one lane. We don't really necessarily have a downtown. Most of our restaurants sit in private property with parking lots with other tenants next to them. We don't control any of that property. All we could deal with is whether or not we'd allow temporary site plan changes with the permission of the owner of the property who may need to get it from other tenants. And then we have the health and sanitation rules, which we already deal with people who already have some level of outdoor seating. So it's something we will look at. Trustee Gaeta is part of the overall return to work, which we are working on right now.
Oh, well,
We'll come back to the board with it. There's going to be a variety of things we'll be coming to the board with related to how we help the businesses when things start reopening up.
of course, we don't want to let this dwell too long because we'll miss the opportunity as far as weather-wise. So if we
won't
drag our feet on something like this,
We won't wait too long. This is not very complicated. I know the issue will be more of a private party with private party, given that most of our restaurants are on other people's private property.
okay.
Now, the Assembly, for example, they're on their property. The only issue they have is what do they do with parking? If they have excess parking, they can make an area out there, and we could potentially allow that.
So there's more to it than exactly what I just asked about.
Right. If we had if you will, a older style downtown where we owned the sidewalks all the way up to the building, and the village did through the right of way, it's a little bit different equation there. Think of downtown Palatine, downtown Arlington Heights, for example. It's a little bit different equation.
So you'll keep us informed?
We will ultimately probably have to come back to the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee for a process to do this. Much
Okay.
like we did after the recession, we allowed certain types of signage through an administrative approval versus having to go through a variation.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Giddy. Trustee Stanton?
Of course, all that can't happen until after the governor gives us the okay, which is probably June at the earliest. The only thing I have to add is, I've been watching the Herald or reading the Herald on a daily basis, and I've noticed that we've gone up from 65 residents with COVID-19 to 186, so we've tripled the number in 2 weeks. That's not a good thing, and hopefully that'll start coming down. That's it for me.
You can hope that some of it is that there's more testing going on, but I would agree it's not a great thing. Trustee Newell?
Hello, good evening. I don't have much. I've been doing the Sunday night with Mayor Lightfoot and the other mayors about the COVID-19 updates. Wish everyone happy Mother's Day and happy birthday to Trustee Arnett. And most of all, truly, everyone, please be safe and healthy. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Palafis?
I just want to wish Trustee Arnett a happy birthday. That's all for me, sir.
Okay. Trustee Arnett?
Thank you, and thank you for the birthday wishes, everybody. I have nothing new except for just thank you for everybody for what you guys are doing, and everybody stay happy and healthy and safe. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Mills?
Thank you. Also, have sat in on the Mayor Lightfoot conferences and Governor Pritzker's on Tuesdays and Fridays. Find them interesting to listen to all, especially some of the questions that come up. I hope that everyone continues to stay healthy and safe. And I want to say thank you to our amazing clerk, Bev, for all the work she does. Happy birthday to Karen Arnett this week. And yesterday I was watching WGN News in the afternoon, and they had a nice story. Didn't quite catch all of it, but it was regarding college football players who are not yet ready for the NBA draft and how they are working with the G League. And they interviewed both the GM and the coach of our Windy City Bulls. So it was a nice little compliment and showing of our home team. So it was a nice thing to see. Might want to catch it if they ever do broadcast it again. That's all. And again, thanks to everyone for all they're doing.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Mills. Also, did want to mention that one of our colleagues passed away. Aaron Shepley, the mayor of Crystal Lake, passed away. I'm very sorry to hear that. We'll move on to village manager's report.
Yes, sir. A couple items. One is I talked to Trustee Palafis earlier today about the need for a special finance committee next Monday evening to be held with the other committees. This will be a update to the committee and then ultimately the board on the impact of the pandemic on the village finances. I sent the board a copy of the letter that the mayor signed today to our congressional delegation, asking them to consider a fourth relief package, this one for states and local governments, underscoring that right now we're estimating our fiscal year 2020 revenue reduction in the amount of about $6.4 million. We'll go more into that next Monday, and we have some ways to offset a chunk of that, a significant chunk of that, but federal help would be tremendous and is desperately needed. Everybody else has received some type of relief. What about the people that are, the organizations that are providing the first responders that are putting their lives on the line? Enough of my soapbox.
Well, I agree with your soapbox. These are people that are risking their lives to save people. We're going to not be able to pay them.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be absolutely tragic, Mayor, and you're absolutely right. If we find a way as a municipality and others do to make it through the current fiscal year, but the economic downturn lasts so long that we use the reserves that we have, and then we're put in a position of having to consider what we did during the recession, which unfortunately was layoffs. And so then you could have the potential, we're not doing it now, we're not even going to recommend it for 2020, but you'd have the potential of people being laid off who had just provided services so people could survive this, which is horrible, even to think about. The next item is, staff has been working on a opening of Village Hall, opening of Village Buildings plan. Trustee Stanton highlighted the fact that numbers are going up. We're hearing that a lot of that is because of dramatically increased testing. And we're also believing that there's a possibility that the governor will reduce slightly the stay-at-home order, and potentially the Village Hall could be reopened sometime around June 1st. So we've established two subcommittees. One is working on physical things that would have to occur, signage, partitions at our transaction counters. Right now, the cages go up and they're completely open. If you've been to the grocery store, you've seen the plexiglass things that go in. We're looking at that, and frankly have ordered some already. We're looking at proximity of workstations to workstations. We have a bullpen area in finance where the water billing folks sit, literally right next to each other. We're not going to be able to do that with the need for social distancing. So one group looking at physical changes. We have another group that's looking at internal operating procedures. It deals with disinfecting, sanitization, and a variety of other things. Use of equipment. After you use a piece of equipment, a copy machine has to be disinfected, all those things. So two subcommittees are really working hard on it, and we will be ready in the next 2 weeks with that. And so if the governor gives the green light, we potentially can open up Village Hall for the public again, which would be a wonderful thing. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. 6D, Village Clerk's Report.
During the month of April, even though we've been closed down, we're still receiving those lovely FOIAs. We got 102, and thank you, everyone, for the kind words about Municipal Clerks Week.
Particularly about you, Bev, you're an outstanding clerk. We have to say it anyway. 6C, move on to committee reports, Transportation, Road Improvement. Trustee Mills.
Okay, Transportation and Road Improvement will have their monthly May meeting next week, May 11th, beginning at 7 p.m. On that agenda so far, all we have under new business is to be announced or determined. And then we will have our information-only report, which is the Transportation Division monthly report, followed by the President's report, if anything else comes up before this committee, before we adjourn. That's it.
Thank you. Planning, Building, and Zoning. Trustee Stanton.
Thank you. Immediately following the Transportation and Road Improvement Committee, we'll have a roll call, establish a quorum, and then move on to approval of the minutes of April 13th, 2020. At this time, we have no new business, so we'll do reports for information only. First is the Planning Division monthly report. The second is the Code Enforcement Division monthly report. And third is the Economic Development and Tourism monthly report. President will have another report if he wishes. We have nothing in other at this time or items in review, so then we will adjourn.
Thank you. General Administration Personnel. Trustee Arnett.
Thank you. Immediately following the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, we will call to order the General Administration and Personnel Committee for the Village of Hoffman Estates on May 11th, 2020. We will begin with a roll call, then followed by the approval of minutes for April 13th and April 27th. If there's anything in new business, we will go ahead and conduct it at that time. Right now, there's nothing there. We'll move on to reports for information only. Number 1 is the Cable TV monthly report. Number 2 is the Human Resources Management monthly report. Number 3 is the Legislative Operations and Outreach monthly report. We'll then go into the President's report. If there's anything other, no items in other or items in review, we will call for an adjournment.
Thank you, Trustee Arnett. Move on to 7. There's one additional business item. 7A, request board authorization to award construction contract to Roush Infrastructure LLC, Des Plaines, Illinois, for Gulf Road sanitary sewer lift station replacement in an amount not to exceed $1,945,000. This was reviewed earlier in committee. Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Chair will accept a motion to adjourn for what item, Trustee Mills?
I would like to make a motion, we adjourn into executive session for the purpose of personnel/employment, 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
We do have a motion, a second. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. We are adjourned, and we won't be coming back this evening.